Welcome back, Squaresteaders. We are on video number 3 of our shoestring budget homestead series. On this video, we'd like to go over doing your homestead right where you're at versus going out and buying a bunch of land and going that route. Whether you're in an apartment or a duplex, or you've got a 1 acre lot, or you've got a 5 acre homestead already, I think that's what we want to go ahead and cover. Go ahead.
Okay, so we wanted to go over both doing it in place and buying land because we've done them both, and so we want you to have both sides of it. And also something that I really like about starting your homestead where you're at, no matter what size property you are living on, is if you start where you're at, where you're comfortable, inside your comfort zone, if you start just a little bit, you'll know if it's right for you. Something, a feeling will just come over you. And if you start small, right in your backyard or in your windowsill or whatever, you'll at that point know if it's the proper thing for you to do and if it's something that you want to pursue, and it will save time and money in the long run so that you don't run out and buy a big plot of land. You can try it first.
Absolutely.
Try it before you buy it.
Yeah, there's a ant on me. Our last video was getting debt free, and through that process, it's a long process. That doesn't mean you have to wait until you're debt free to start homesteading. You can start right where you're at, and eventually, if you become debt free, maybe you'll have that opportunity to expand and get something bigger if that's what you want to do. So I think the important thing to walk away with is, as far as starting where you're at, let me give you our scenario. Once again, we are not experts on any of this stuff. We're just telling you where we came from. And where we came from, when we started this whole journey, we were on a 1 acre lot, big front yard, big backyard. I'd say the backyard was that's where we did all of our homesteading, and maybe a third of an acre, maybe
not with the shop and everything.
Probably a 1/4 acre. There's probably a 1/4 acre.
I would say, yeah.
That was usable, where we grew our garden, and we lived in town, and our town did not have restrictions as far as no roosters or anything like that, and we took full advantage of it, to be honest with you. Yes, we did. At one point, we had 30 chickens, 2 goats, and 2 pigs, and a garden on that little 1/4 acre. So it can be done. It doesn't smell very good.
No, and I probably, if you are going to start out small where you're at in town or whatever, I probably would not go the pig route. I would definitely take the pigs out of that equation. But the only reason we had pigs, it was kind of probably not on the up and up, but we inherited 2 little baby pigs. And so we raised them for 9 months, right, before we got rid of them.
And this is video 3, and video 5, I think we're going to talk about livestock and slowing down, and that's going to be part of that topic. And so let me back up just a little bit. That's one of the first things we learned, is it's real easy to get in over your head and do too much too quick, and that's what we did in town. So take your time when you are starting right where you're at.
We think we were right at roughly a 1/4 acre. We had the chickens, the goats, and the pigs there. Like I said, I probably wouldn't recommend pigs in town, but it is what it is. Hindsight 2020, we did it. It worked out fine. The main thing is, if this is something that you're interested in, start somewhere. Start small, but you have to start. Whether you just plant 1 tomato plant, 1 cucumber, and have 6 chickens, you have to start. With where you're at, depending on the size, you can have most of your small livestock on your homestead if you are prepared to strictly grain and hay feed. Any amount of space works. Like if you have just a balcony. We have actually talked to people. We talked to one lady who lives in a condominium, so she doesn't have any space, and there are ways around everything. You know, if you have a little space, put some indoor-outdoor carpet, get you 2 laying hens, and you've got chickens. With the indoor-outdoor carpet, you can just spray it off and wash it off. If all you have is a balcony, a couple plants, you can do it in 5-gallon buckets, you can do it in flower pots. It can be done. You have to think creatively.
Yeah, and it all boils down to how bad do you want it. You know, one of the very first things that happened when we moved out to this property is we went into the mentality of there are no excuses. You can't come up with an excuse of, well, I don't have a tractor. Well, I don't have this. I don't have that. There are ways, and to be a homesteader, to make this life happen, you have to find a way to make it happen. So if
Make do with what you got.
yeah, absolutely. Make do with what you got. And if you want it bad enough, you will find a way.
The entire homestead mentality, I think, is literally thinking outside the box. There's no way that I can tell you how to do the homesteading thing at your place and vice versa. You know, we can't tell each other how to do it. You have to look at your property, you have to look at your setups, everything is based off of what you have, your limitations. If all you can handle is a little 4x4 garden, that's all you can handle, you know.
No excuses, and don't be a victim. Just make it happen. I mean, there's creative ways, and there are so many options online that you can look up, whether it's YouTube or Pinterest or whatever, for all these little ideas for space-saving things. Once again, we weren't on a small lot. I mean, an acre lot, in town is a pretty good sized lot, so we were limited, and we extended that probably way more than we should have. But I mean, if you look at what's Weed 'em and Reap, they have all that stuff on a there's options is what I'm saying. There's a lot of options out there to get your homestead up and running where you're at now. You don't have to go out and buy land. You don't have to go big. You don't have to have a barn and all that just starting out. And so feel comfortable knowing that we've done it. And
right. Well, you said Weed 'em and Reap. There's also Almost Homestead. I think theirs is pretty small,
Yep.
and he's got chickens and he had quail, and they're running a garden.
Correct.
On a small area. It can be done. I don't know of anybody right off the top of my head that do it in an apartment. I'm sure if I thought about it, we met that one lady that was going to try. A friend of ours, though, she had a small, very, very small yard, and she got little buckets and put on her porch to start.
The important part is starting. Just start, and you'll figure out as you go along what your limitations are, and you will have limitations. Even with big land, big something, you still have limitations because maybe you don't have the funds for a barn. Maybe you don't. I mean, there's always limitations. So you got to work around that and just make it happen.
So yeah, for anybody that wants to try homesteading but doesn't have land, my advice is just start somewhere. One plant, one chicken, one goat. Just start. Quail are another good one for small spaces.
Quail, yeah, absolutely.
There are a lot of options for small spaces.
Very sustainable.
Yes, there is, with the whole tiny house movement and what we watched the other day, the minimalist.
Yeah.
The minimalist movement. With all of these movements, it has opened up just like tons and tons of things and ideas for small spaces. So if you're doing this, if you're watching these videos and you think that what we're saying is impractical, know that it's not. everybody has to start somewhere.
We've done it in small duplexes. We've grown little gardens here and there. You can do it. You can do it wherever, pretty much wherever you want to. In a spare bedroom in your house, with grow lights. You know, if you want to go that route, they offer vertical gardens. There's all sorts of ways to accomplish your goal here. And if you have taken the steps and you've done like our first video of having your conversation with your significant other and been honest with each other, and then you have gone through the steps of going through debt free, and doing all that, and you're working over the course of time to not only go debt free, but start these little projects so you start learning. That's the big part of this is learning, and you need to start as soon as possible. And once you learn everything, and you've gone through those 2 steps, and then now you are homesteading where you're at now. If you would like to take the next step, or you are on the next step of looking for land and trying to go bigger, then stick around for our next video, because our next video is going to cover land, how we found our land, how we purchased it, and the whole 9 yards, and what to look for. So
I got one more thing.
oh, okay.
On the small spaces, I just want you to take away from the small space portion of this, starting in place. I think that whenever we done the small gardens and the small livestock in our yard, I think that's actually where we learned a lot of things about us. We learned a lot about what we were and were not good at. We had small goats in town, wasn't a big fan. That's just me personally, so now I have big goats. So whenever you start small in a small space, it does allow you the luxury to learn and figure out what you don't like, or what you do like, or what you're actually good at. Mm-hmm. So it kind of takes a little bit of the learning curve out of it once you decide to go bigger and purchase land, if that's the route that you decide to take. It just opens it up more so that once you are ready to expand, you know more about what you want out of it. So you can finish up about the next video.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. That's the next video. We're going to go over purchasing land, show you some of ours and what to look out for, and just stick around for that next video. That'll be number 4 in the series, and we'll just keep on going after that. So until then, I'm Mike, and this is Jesse with Square One Farms, and until the next one, y'all, we'll see you.